46 years ago, the murder of Lisa French would change the way children in Wisconsin would trick or treat. If you want to know more about this case, please continue watching.
You are watching Roll a Mile in My Shoes TV.
46 years ago, the debate over when children should trick or treat in Wisconsin due to the murder of 9-year-old Lisa French. It was because she did not come home from trick-or-treating on October 31st, 1973. And due to this, her body was found a few days later in a farm field. 9 months would pass before her Fond du Lac neighbor, Gerald Turner, would confess to the murder and rape of the little girl. In 2013, news anchor Terry Sater tracked down and spoke with the lead detective in the case about how that nightmare murder changed Halloween traditions and the continuing anxiety over keeping kids safe as they trick-or-treat today. And this is sad that many of these parents had to do this because they feared their child might end up like little 9-year-old Lisa French did. And I mean, even though that was years ago, I'm pretty sure a lot of parents and their families still live in that neighborhood years after, and many of them are still reminded of what happened to 9-year-old Lisa French all those years ago. And that makes a lot of these parents and grandparents keep their kids and grandkids safe on Halloween while they trick-or-treat. And this should be a fun and innocent time for kids, but due to the fact that some sicko couldn't keep his hands and sick thoughts to himself, a 9-year-old little girl wound up dead. And even the detective, Melvin Heller, said the same thing. He was quoted as saying, it isn't the same around here in Fond du Lac. Everybody that lives here always knows about Lisa French. And that's sad because, I mean, that happened all those years ago and people are still terrified to this day to let their kids go trick-or-treating by themselves, all due to what this sicko did to this little girl all those years ago. And I mean, it's just sad that a community has to relive that every time Halloween comes around, or even for some of the people, especially her family, they have to be reminded of this every single day. And this, you know, is kind of unfair because all this child wanted to do, and all she was doing, was going to do what many kids her age that night were doing, which was go door to door and collect candy. And unfortunately, this made this little girl a target due to a sick person who couldn't, like I said before, keep his sick thoughts and his hands to himself. And I hope due to that fact, he suffered every day while he's locked away. And I hope he's still suffering. And I hope that when he meets his end, which hopefully he'll do that by suffering, he'll still suffer every day in the pits of hell. Even though Detective or Chief Melvin Heller was 88 years old when they interviewed him and he was in a nursing home, he wanted to warn parents to pay attention to the potential for danger of their children and other children on Halloween to be able to keep them safe. And he said, what I like parents to know is the possibility of this thing happening again is very realistic today, because those people aren't locked up forever today, Heller said. And Heller was a police captain when he went looking for the missing 9-year-old and remembers clearly the day her body was found by a farmer. And this is really sad because, I mean, even after all those years, this man at 88 was still trying to warn parents of this being able to happen again, because like he said, people like that who commit murder, sometimes in today's time, they're not always locked up forever. Because I just watched a case of a man who had committed attempted murder, and he only served 8 years for this, and he was released. And now he has killed a family, and they have him on camera zip tying the husband and the brother, hands behind their back. And then he went back into this family's shop and took the baby and the mother out and put them all in his truck. And they were found just a day or two ago in some woods, and they were found dead, unfortunately. And this family had been missing for a week. And this was the same man who was released on parole after serving 8 years for attempted murder of another person. I just don't understand how people can commit attempted murder, serve 8 years, be released, and then go on to kill a family after that. And he tried to take his life. I'm not sure if he succeeded or not. So if he didn't succeed, hopefully he'll be held in jail for good this time, and he won't be able to inflict any more pain on any more people and their families. But getting back to what happened to the little 9-year-old Lisa French, this shouldn't have happened, because this was a poor child that just wanted to go out like many other children that time and collect candy while she was dressed up in a costume. And she should have been able to do that without having to worry about some psychopath killing her. Heller's daughter-in-law, Colleen Heller, said she cried remembering the fear of being a child in the community. And I'm pretty sure a lot of children did, because they didn't want to be abducted and killed and raped like little Lisa Finch had been, done. And I mean, this is sad that kids have to think about stuff like this, even still to this day. And, Colleen Heller also mentioned that the brutality was just awful, and nothing like that had happened in Fond du Lac before. And that is really, horrifying to know that these children had to, remember this, all these years later, that, this little girl was 9 years old. She was trick-or-treating, and she was abducted and raped and killed by this psychopath. And I'm pretty sure many of them feared that they would be next. And, Colleen, she, after all these years, remembered that she cried as a child and, thought about the fact that her or her friends could be next to be victim to this psychopath or someone else. Melvin Heller said that he thinks that Lisa French's death should be remembered. And he also was quoted as saying, "I think it's important not to let your guard down." And to this day, Fond du Lac still schedules trick-or-treating during daylight hours from 3:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. The Sunday before Halloween and the days of parents letting their kids go out alone have since been gone and passed. Turner's scheduled release date was February 1st, 2018. but the state is hoping to keep him detained indefinitely under the state's violent sex offender law. In April 2018, a judge in Fond du Lac agreed to move Turner's case to Dane County, where he most recently lived. His case was continued several times in 2019. Turner, now 70, is currently held at the Sand Ridge Secure Treatment Center in Mauston. A status conference was held in his case earlier this month. A judge set a new appearance for January 22nd of 2020. Now, I could be wrong, and I may be wrong for looking at this way, but I do not think this psychopath should be held at a treatment center. I think his ass, even though he's 70, should still be in prison, just like the rest of the psychopaths that do this to children. And I think he should be tortured every day until the day he takes his last breath. Now, that's just my opinion. I mean, what do I know? But I really do feel that way because, I mean, even though he's 70, that little girl didn't reach to see 10 years old, and because she had to be, raped and killed by this psychopath, unfortunately. And I think, he shouldn't be in some treatment center. I think his old ass should be in prison and left to rot. But that's just my opinion. But if you guys like this video, please don't forget to leave me a like and a comment down below in the comment section about what you think about this case. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are not already subscribed. And until next time, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.